3-point shooting contest, a dribbling contest. You know what I mean? Like you can't
Yep.
beat these guys on this. You can't match up with them on offense. So if you could get a guy that basically just puts it away, like just makes it where you get that many more shots. I don't think I've ever seen Kyrie miss three in a row. I've seen
Yep.
Harden do it, but I don't think I've seen Durant do it a couple times, rarely. But that's what makes them superstars. If they're not gonna miss three, if these are guys who don't miss three in a row, then you get a rebounding, an elite rebounder, and add that to the mix. No, I'm telling you, we're sweeping teams. we're literally sweeping teams. So I don't know. The Drummond saga is going to be interesting to watch. Me and Bam will probably be talking about that on the weekend because I don't think the buyout market is going to last long. So I don't know, man. I'm glad the trade deadline went like this, but I guess we got to talk about the elephant in the room. We didn't trade Dinwiddie. You tell me your thoughts before
Yeah.
I expound on it.
So it's interesting. I think so. This is what I wonder. I think it's one of two things. I think either like they spoke to Cy and they were like, look, like Spencer's part of the like he'll be fine coming off the injury. We'll go into a luxury tax for him. He helped bring in Kyrie. He's an OG net with Joe Harris, yada yada yada, whatever. Or it's that they think like maybe we'll be able to work out a sign and trade, and like I don't like is it do we really need to do this? Because I don't totally understand the idea of not trading him
Mm-hmm.
if you think that there's
You
stay or that you're going to bring him back. Because if not, like you're just wasting an asset basically.
it,
So because just having him in LA doesn't really do anything. Because I know that like the optimistic like glue guys and whatever are like, all right, we'll see him back for the playoffs. Like no one can bank on that right now, and like
right.
that seems kind of crazy. So Cy saying like, look, I really like this team, but I also think that Spencer could be like the fourth or fifth best guy on this team and make them even stronger next year. I don't know. I mean, I assume I'm curious about your take about this.
I I think they might. So I'm gonna take the romantic side of this, right?
Yeah.
I think they just. I think they. I love Spencer. I'd love to have a future with Spencer. I don't know how long Kyrie's gonna play basketball, and having nothing to do with this past 3 games that he's gonna miss. Um, I think that Kyrie may have other things on his mind to do after this. And it would be
Yep.
interesting if you just had a lane of guys that would be going into their veteran, size mixed with some young guys that they could be picking up and developing. There's got to be a life after the big three, and maybe they see him as that. Maybe they see him as a big part of our second championship. And what is it going to cost us? Money? Joe Tsai is fucking rich, beyond rich, and
Yep.
I just think at the end of the day, it's like the return on this in terms of value. Like this is the mistake a lot of people do when they're seeing how much teams are spending. Joe Tsai could spend $1 billion to win a championship, but if the Brooklyn Nets win an NBA championship, the team that he bought for 2.2 billion is worth 4.4 billion. That fast, just from that maneuver. The Knicks are worth 5 billion, right?
Yep.
If the noisy neighbor in Brooklyn starts winning championships, Joe Tsai in less than 3 years has doubled his investment. So building a good team and sustaining a good team could be fun, could be a great ego thing for a fly billionaire to be like, yeah, you know, I just got in the city and I put a team there and we won a championship. I just started owning them like 2 years ago. You know, that's what I do. I'm great. Everything, you seen it. Alibaba, you know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He could be saying that, or
No, totally.
and what does it mean? You know, 150 million in luxury tax, 250 million in luxury tax. He may really like Spencer. That's another thing that we could be thinking about as well. And but overall I'm gonna be hopeful. I'm gonna be a hopeless romantic and just say he's keeping as much of the band and there's not much left. We're not those Nets anymore. But I think I would, if I was the owner of the Nets, this would be one of the foolish things that may look foolish on paper that I would do. I would keep Spencer Dinwiddie. I would sign him. I would give him, you know, more somewhere in the Joe Harris range, right? I think that's fair. And you know what? That's who we are. We're the Brooklyn Nets. We take care of our players. Even when we move them on, we make sure we move them on to good situations. And
yeah, I mean, look, it's not my money. So look, right now they can honestly use him in like a game like yesterday, or even a game like against the Trailblazers when Harden sits. They could use another ball handler who can get to the basket whenever he wants. Like I would love for them to keep him. I just basically felt like if you know that he's going to go to another team, or if you know that they're not willing to go into the tax, then I think you have to trade him just from a rational trade perspective. But I mean, like if they want to go the whole way with him, they want to go the whole way with him. Like let's do it. I would be more than happy for that.
So does Evan Fournier to the Celtics, you think that's going to stop us from winning a championship?
No, I thought the actual trade that Ainge did was like a good one. Like 2 seconds for Fournier is like a good deal. But I mean, the fact that this is like where the Celtics are at after all of the talk about assets and whatever, they're in a very precarious spot right now.
You know how ESPN does the team with the best futures? Yeah. And they rank them, say, oh, this team has the best future. Nobody had us in the top 10. Matter of fact, we were always in the bottom 5.
Yeah, always.
And guess what? Nobody has a better future than us.
And the Celtics usually won.
That's true. But I think it's a new day.
Totally.
If the Nets win the championship, that wins. It breaks the seal. It changes everything. And it makes us a destination. I think it was Nate Jones that tweeted that today. I believe I retweeted it. But he was just saying, like, you know, the Darren Nets didn't do it, but this group of Nets is going to make this team a destination. He's and he's an LA guy, he's a West Coast guy, and he's talking about the Nets being a destination. And a lot of it has to do with how we treat our players, how we take care of them on and off the field, how we acclimate them to the city. You know, that's not normal what we do. We go above and beyond the call of duty, and it's in Brooklyn. And so these guys they talk to each other. If Drummond comes to Brooklyn, I think that's a Sean Marks thing. Because if I'm Drummond, I'm going to the Lakers. I'm going to see more playing time. I don't have to deal with all the small ball nonsense. I'm going to the Lakers if I'm Drummond. But I think if the Nets want him, the just showing him the money, the $5 million that they could pay him, he'd come here. I think we are really a destination. I think it's known that the Nets are a place that you can go and be great, and that's an awesome thing. That's an awesome feeling. Have you noticed that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely in a different stratosphere than they were even like a couple of years ago in terms of what people thought about them. And I just think everything about the organization is just, I think is just in such a nice spot. And I think a lot of this stuff is like word of mouth and what players and coaches feel. And I think, I don't know, I think they are in a really, really, really unique spot, especially when you see like how a lot of other teams who are or were destinations kind of once you start having some dysfunction, it like the stink travels, and people don't want to. And people don't want to then end up being associated or going to that type of team. Like I think you see like I don't think it's a coincidence that like the Clippers and Nets both had huge summers 2 years ago. They're like two teams that for multiple years like started doing things the right way, even though they were even though they were the little brother, which is why it makes the Lakers thing that much more hilarious, because the Lakers basically are still running off of their name, and that's about it.
Right. And he's a bit goofy, but Ballmer is about it owner.
Yep.
He doesn't ask how much it costs. He doesn't ask how much, this are we making a profit? No. That's not what basketball teams are for. As long as the asset itself is growing in value, and that's more about, building your team's brand, and they're building a stadium. So these guys are going to rotate in and out superstars. So are we. We're always going to be in the conversation going forward. And that's a great place to be. It's weird that even now, like the Knicks have started to be kind of good, no one really was clamoring to go over there. Nobody wanted, you don't hear too many players like, hey, the Knicks got some space. They're going to be in the playoffs. That's the Garden. Let me go over there. Nobody's going over there. Like, it's like, unless they trade, that trade they did boggles my mind too, but I don't think it's worth talking about. Sam, big games coming up.
Yep.
Are you worried about Harden's neck and shoulder?
No, Harden I'm not worried about in the slightest.
Tank, right?
I want KD back. Kyrie obviously is fine. Look, we are getting to a point. It's not the same thing as I hate when people compare. This will be my last thing. I hate when people compare the Nets to the Clippers last year of like, they never played together, because the Clippers clearly hated each other, and they were also in a bubble where they couldn't see anybody else, and it was like it would be like if you went on a work retreat and you hated all your you hated all of your fellow employees, but then you could never see your family for 3 straight months. Like
the Clippers never played each other, and you could tell.
Yeah, and I think
they didn't forget it. I don't know if they liked each other or not. That's neither here or there for me. I feel like the Clippers just don't have the talent that we thought they had. Montrezl went to the Lakers, and they're trying to replace him.
Yep. Lou Will was cooked. Beverly was cooked.
Yeah, I think those guys just they hit the old wall. And with Beverly, he'll get exposed in the playoffs, because at the end of the day, it's about when you need a bucket, can you get one? And you want to know what? That answer is yes for the Brooklyn Nets, no matter when you ask the question or how.
By the way, so the one thing I do want to say that
if it's the one thing you want to say, Sam, you just disappeared. Hold on. I think I hear Sam calling back. Is that you, Samuel? No, I cannot hear you. Let me see if I can get Sam back, everybody. Sam LaChow, your internet sucks. Sam LaChow, I'm calling you. Your internet is trash. You got Wi-Fi from the drugstore. All right, Sam is having technical difficulty, guys. We were at the end of the show anyway. We are the front office. Sam just texted us in and said it wasn't anything special that he was saying. We're on the championship run. We'll get our internet and stuff together. And Sam says, yeah, his Wi-Fi timed out. Clearly. Anyway, we're the front office. I'm at Eve Darbooz. My partner is at Sam LaChow. We are the Front Office Podcast. And we'll be back after the next game. Myself or Sam by himself or myself. Peace, y'all.